season's over. Okay, tonight's show, without further ado, Scott Murphy sitting in the corner there, very patient. He's put together a wonderful show for us tonight to talk about deck work and fiberglass work. He'll explain the whole thing. Scott's had an illustrious career as a sailor. He's been here for 8 years, I think, at the Nepean Sailing Club, but prior to that he grew up in Nova Scotia at the ripe old age of 15. Started sailing in Halifax, so he comes by this honestly for the rest of us who are landlubbers, I guess. Okay, thank you very much for coming. Hands together to welcome Scott.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for that introduction.
That's a clicker for you.
I'm giving the presentation tonight. I had support from Peter Locke, Stephen Kidd. We're supposed to do a tag team. Stephen is in Italy or Spain or somewhere with his wife. Peter bought a catamaran, is now sailing in the Caribbean. So guess what? You got me to do this presentation. All right, down is next. Okay, who I am, well, we just talked about that. I'm gonna go very, very fast. This is gonna be a show and tell / slides, and I wanna go fast to make sure that we have questions at the end, because I know there's gonna be lots of them. So I'm going to talk about 3 different hulls that were restored, mine, Peter's, and Stephen's. There's fiberglass work that was involved. I'm going to go over the materials used. I also want to thank the Chandlerly, because most of this stuff that's here, actually pretty much all of it, all the resins and stuff I got from the Chandlerly. And just a note, the Chandlerly will match any price that you come up with that's online. So instead of going online and buying either from Halifax or down in Kingston, support locally here. Like Mark said, Matt down at the Chandlerly has been a big supporter. All our regattas, he chumps in money to help do the prizes and stuff. We got 420s down at the sailing school that were purchased a few years ago. So anyway, so I just want to do that. You'll see I got his little logo down here almost every slide. I'm a big fan of the Chandlerly. And disclaimer, I am not a professional at doing fiberglass work. I'm going to go over my little project that I did and also showcase Stephen's project and Peter's project. All 3 were different, and you'll see why. So next slide. Okay, how it began. All right, so I did have 1986 Catalina 27, and it was Soto Blast. Here is Peter Locke's 1988 Catalina 30 at Hanco Yard, Soto Blasting, getting Soto Blast. Stephen also had his Soto Blast at Hanco Yard. If anybody know where Hanco is? Okay, Hanco is down near the Rito racetrack, in around that area somewhere down there. If you need to take your boat there, give them a call, get Soto Blast, and arrange it with Jay. I think the Soto Blasting for mine and Jay's transport there and back was a total about a little over $800. So that's part of the cost. Anyway, right here he's just standing under his pads getting stuff, because you'll notice in some of my pictures when I go through this, my pads weren't. Hanco said they were going to do that, but then when they come back to Scott, I'm so sorry we didn't have a jack. He didn't bring a jack stand down. So anyway, next slide. All right. Oh, I guess I'll put mine first. Okay, so my problem on the Catalina 20s. Oh, just a note, I don't own this boat no more. Are the new owners here? No, I don't see Mike here. I kind of wish you were here. Actually, I don't know, it might not be a good thing. But I did disclose what I did, and I showed them some pictures, so they are aware of what it was. Let me tell you, my bilge is dry. Anyway, so I have another boat. It's a Catalina 320. I love the Catalina brands. So anyway, I noticed I had, when I first bought the boat in 2020, I had leakage in the bilge, and I suspected at some point after a couple of years that there's a problem, because every year I would get more and more. I didn't have an automatic bilge pump. Did I, Steve? Nope. What did you do, Steve? Manual. Yeah. I had friends who went down on B-Dock, and I said, hey, listen, when you go buy my boat, there's a thing, can you give it a couple pumps? If I left it for 24 hours, I would be at the full. So I put in an automatic bilge pump, solved that problem for the rest of the year. Then I took it down to Hanco, got a Soto Blast it. this is what I found. If you see here, this is the aft end of the keel on the port side. This is the starboard side. What side do you think is the worst? This side here or this side here? Right? Everybody's probably going to say this side is the worst. You think this one is? Okay. So just remember that. A little bit of osmosis happening here. If you can see, there's like a little rundown of water. All you do, if you have osmosis in the fall when you haul out and you look and you say, oh, here's a bubble, take a little drill, little tiny drill bit, and just pop it, push the water out, let it dry over the winter, then come back, Dremel it out, and then do your process. I don't think I'm going to explain that, but we can do that during the question and answer period. Did I miss anything? Oh, on the keel, you'll notice here, and also these spots here, when I pulled it off, it was like cheese whiz. I'm like, oh. So I asked James Poole, down the facility manager, and I'm like, any idea what this is? Do you think they redid the hull? I think they redid the hull and they did some work because there was 2 different colors of fairing compound that was in there. But also too, when it came out of the mold, that the company at the original was there. And this stuff was pretty old, but it actually held up pretty good. Okay, Stephen's problem. So Stephen has 10310. He had issues with osmosis. He noticed that there was dark spots on his hull when he hauled out. He brought it down, got it fiberglass, soda blasted right to the fiberglass. Normally you wouldn't do that. I didn't do that with mine. That's a choice Stephen made. Someone said, no, don't do, wrong button, don't do that. But he did, which is fine. But I mean, you're just bringing it right down to the fiberglass, pretty much. So that's all fiberglass. You can see there's like a little bit of white there. So this here, that's really bad osmosis. He basically took a pick and he went in and it just separated. So what osmosis is, basically, is fiberglass that gets saturated, right? Fiberglass is layered up, like you laminate it in layers. When water penetrates in, it's going in, and then what happens is you get that separation, right? So that's basically rot. Think of wood rotting. It's the same thing as this. It's not rotting, it's just the layers are separating. Go ahead. Do you want to go to the mic, please? So that way we can hear you and the people at home when we do it. Because this is going to be on YouTube, by the way.
Perhaps silly question, what is soda blasting?
Sandblasting. Yeah, same thing. They just use soda instead of sand. Sorry, good question. So anyway, so everybody hear that? What is soda blasting? Soda blasting is sandblasting, same thing. So that was Peter's. And he also noticed small pits in this thing. Those small pits are from the soda blasting, by the way. So when you notice it, I had it in mind, and I will cover that later on when I show you what we were doing. Okay. So I purposely didn't show any more of my pictures, but here's some of Steven's. So what he did is he used epoxy, right? And then he used Interprotect 2000, and on this, and any of the holes, he just grinded them out, filled them. I'm not sure if he used fiberglass or not, but I know that he used thickened epoxy. So you can thicken epoxy with coil silica. It's like a very fine powder. You don't want to breathe that in. And then with your West System epoxy. So coat 1 of his Interprotect, coat 2, did coat 3, and then did his antifouling. He did 2 coats of that, got hauled, and back to sailing again. Took him, I think he missed haul out, hence why he's going in the crane, but I think his boat is light enough to go in the crane. I'm not sure, but anyway, he's going in by the crane, which is good. Oh, that's not right. I'm missing something on Peter's. All right, Peter's boat. After soda blasting, I don't know why this is not up. All right, I guess we don't have right up there, and I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so basically when he had, oh, I know what it was. He noticed that he also had water coming into his bilge. He noticed that his keel bolts on the inside were rusty. And he went, When he brought it out, he noticed that water was coming out of here. You see this? So when he got a soda blasted and the water was still coming out and it stained his, and I think his is steel, not lead. I'm not sure, but because I don't think lead rusts like that. But, however, your bolts will rust, and that might be from the bolts. So I'm going to say that, let's say this is lead, and the bolts are. I wish he was here to explain that. It was actually pretty cool. He was actually 2 years in the yard doing this, and you're going to see why. Right? He separated his keel. He replaced his keel bolts. Exposed the keel bolts. I guess apparently engine removal. I was trying to picture that, but he did. He drilled out the old keel bolts and all the adhesive that's here, right? 5200, 4200. What would you use? 42. Negative. Sorry, you would use 42? That's fine. I would use 52. You want to know why? Because I don't want my keel to fall off. 5200 has a more adhesive bonding than 4200. Sorry, I didn't mean to say you were wrong. You're absolutely, you can use it. But me, my personal preference, I would use 5200. Anyway, so repair the hull keel joint. Right, there again, he shored it up, did all his work. And again, he used epoxy on all of his job. So the bilge, he actually redid the bilge, replaced the prop shaft, packing glands were 40 plus years old, replaced the driplet with a dripless shaft, cutlass bearing. This is extra stuff that he did just since he had the boat on the hard. Engine mounts, reinforced the compression block. Now I don't know what that is. Anybody know? Not sure. Okay, good. Refinished the bilge with hardened epoxy and bilge paint. Installed custom 3/8 stainless steel backing plates. There's his backing plates right there. Replaced all that and then put it really nice. So he did a really good job on that. And there's his finished product. He's very grateful to Stephen Kidd, George Lagasse, Kristen Roth, and the project's guardian angel, Gene Bruce. How many people here know Gene? Right? Yeah, Gene is a world of information. And again, he's down in the Caribbean with Anders. Okay, so he's off for a sail. All right, now, the reason why we're here. So I noticed that Mark had put on their deck work. I'm just going to concentrate on the bottom part, because I'm going to tell you there's a lot to go through. And I was thinking of showing a couple examples of anything like, on the CNC 29 with John Blackwood, I replaced all his windows and did some epoxy work and rebedded stuff in there, which is a lot of work. So that was like a long process. So I'm just going to keep on with the fiberglass repair. So how the puzzle was completed. Let me tell you, it's a puzzle, and you're going to see why. So my process was, first off, you want to set up tarps, right? Because I'm going to do some grinding. That is what I grind it right here, just to expose where remember the port and starboard. So the port side was actually the worst side, and we'll get into that a little bit. Okay, so if you don't put plastic on the sides and plastic underneath, you're going to get a visit from Scott Haley or James, and they'll come and they'll ask you to do that because it is messy. Also, you got to wear PPE when you're doing this grinding because you don't want to breathe in that old fiberglass dust. I use an angle grinder with a flap wheel and a finger grinder, and I brought those with me. This is my angle grinder here, and if you can see here, you can come up and look at it after. I'll leave this up while I'm grabbing a beer when we're done. But this is layered over sandpaper, I guess. And this is called Euroflex is what it's called. It's a specialty thing, and I got it at Princess Auto. And this is my finger grinder, right? This got me into that little hole right here. So Amazon, and a whole big pack of Amazon stuff with that. All right. Okay, so some products that I used. 1708 fiberglass cloths. Okay, this here is a 45-degree woven mat, and I also used mat strand mat. So it's like this fiberglass that you can actually literally pull apart. So, and when you cut it and you just fluff it up, you put that on and you layer that on first, and then you put your mat on, another layer of that mat on. It just helps with the rigidity. I don't have any 1708 fiber. I forgot to ask Tom to bring his in because that's who lent it to me. So I'm going to go this side, sorry. Can you guys see there good? All right, so I used polyester resin, not epoxy for this job. I have two types here. One is without wax. One is with wax. You're going to notice this one's full. There's a reason for that, because I bought the wrong one. Scott Haley says, you want to use poly resin? Get the non-wax one. Cool. So I bought it. I went to the chandlery. They couldn't get any in, so I had to go to, I think it was, no, actually I did buy that from the chandlery. The small one, I bought that from down in Bath, because the chandlery didn't have any. They couldn't get any in for about 2 weeks, and Bath had it. It would have been there in 2 days. So I used laminating polyester resins. I used a marine filler, which is a vinyl ester, and you can use epoxy over the polyester resin, but not the other way around. I may say that wrong, I don't know, but at the end of this presentation, I have links where you can go read this stuff yourself. It's very confusing on what you can do. However, gel coat will stick to polyester resin and will stick to West System epoxy. West System epoxy needs probably a week to cure. If you go and say, hey, this is hard enough, and start painting on your thing, what's going to happen in a year or two is you're going to have cracking, flaking, and your gel coat's going to come off. So it can be used in it, but the general rule is this. I also used, so anyway, this is my marine filler. This is the high strength filler. This has chopped strand of fiberglass into it. And this is the premium filler. So this is the stuff that I used for most of the project. I probably bought about 20 cans of these to do that, just to let you know. Medium to stiff bristles. I use these for applying the resin to the cloth. Put the cloth down on the table, had it all cut out, poured my resin from my cup onto it, spread it all out, put another layer on, poured some more. Like I was mixing resin about this much on every pour. And I think the first one I did some little ones, and you'll see here in a bit, a little couple circles, and I kind of built it out to build from where you saw where that hole was. And then I did that one, let that dry a little bit, and then came back the next day and did it. So the difference between with wax and no wax, this stays tacky. It's called laminating for a reason, right? So that you can come back after a while and continue laying up your glass. This is the finishing, right? Another way to finish that is to either put PVA on top of it. You basically want to get the air not touching it so it'll cure a little bit. This has wax in it. The wax, it's a pyrosteam wax, and what it does is when you after you put it on, the wax will come up to the surface. And they call that, I believe, anamine, I might get the word wrong, pronounce it wrong, anamine blushing. So how to get that off is all you do is you just take warm water, a green Scotch scrubby pad, and just start doing that. And then come back, get a sanding, and then you can start laying up more if you have to. That's why that's full, because I only used it just to finish off the whole job. This is also used it because I was upside down to get the bubbles out. I was working the bubbles out like that, and every layup probably took me about a half hour to do each layer. Did I digress? Resin cup, I just showed you that. The red solo cups, don't use them because this stuff gets hot when it starts kicking off and it'll melt your cup. I learned that very, very quick. Mixing sticks, you can use a paintbrush stick. I have a stick here somewhere, right? These little West epoxy sticks, right? These are pretty cool. Good for doing fillets. If everybody ever know what I mean by a fillet, you take epoxy, your silicone, you thicken it to a peanut butter thing, skip it in so you have two joints, one coming up this way, one coming here. Fiberglass doesn't like to lay in 90-degree corners, so you put a fillet. Your bathtub, right? Caulking around the bathtub, that's a fillet. An example of what a fillet would look like. Rubber gloves. I would use them. This stuff gets pretty sticky. I mean, if you come up here right now and you touch that, it's sticky. I'm not going to do it. I usually double up on them because what happens is that your hand sweats, right? You ever try to put a rubber glove when your hand sweats? So you double up and you have to go touch something. You want to do another mix up or mix your cup up, and you don't want to get something done on. Normally for me it was a beer, I think, maybe. So I grab that and take the glove off. Anyway. Okay, so I know I'm going a little fast, but I want to get through this because I have 35 slides. Death by PowerPoint, they say. Okay, so started laying up. That's probably 12 layers from that small little hole that I had. And then I started expanding in around. This was very, very hard to do. At one point I had to do it at a point, grind it down, put some filler into it, and then make it a little bit more rounder so I can get that cloth to go over there and stick. Here, basically, and also too, if you can see here, so I basically worked on one side, this side. After I did this part here, I started working on this side and I started coming out a little bit wider. And you always want to come up and build out. And then at one point, as I kind of got almost my second last layup, I kind of went around here, down here, and up on this side, and then straight across, like that. And then I came back and I did this side, and did the same thing, and came back over here. The reason why I did that was for structural, and that's all it is. And you can see, no. I want to hit that this button here, and I keep hitting the other one. So you can see this is kind of what I did here. You can start seeing I'm kind of laying it up there. This when I say you want to come out and then kind of like give it an inch, and then come back and then fill in the other inch with the other full cloth. You can see here that I didn't really get to there. What happens is when you wet that cloth out, it has a tendency to get bigger. So bigger, smaller, it's good. And that's what I found. That was one of the issues that I had. Again, here I am coming up to the finish here. So you can see here where I got that little line that's right here. That was that one from the other side that I lapped it over on top of this just to tie it all together. And then what I did, I just used some peel ply on this here just to help. I don't think I used that resin. I might have. I might have come back and done it. Does anybody have any questions so far about fiberglassing, what I'm talking about? Okay. And again, here you can see the keel. The keel here, Looks like that at some point, the previous owner or the previous owner, I think I was the third owner of this boat. They, maybe the fourth, and at some point they did that job. So, what I learned, because it was a learning process, I've never done it before. There's a process, follow it. Ask questions to your fellow sailors who you think knows what they're doing. I asked Scott Haley, Tom Miller, and Gene Bruce. Got totally 3 different answers, but that's fine. I made a decision what I was going to do, and I put a plan together and went through it. Applying the wetted out cloth overhead is a challenge, right? Because gravity was not my friend. So I had to be careful how much resin I put on the cloth, because you can put too much on and then it will just run everywhere, get into your hair. Do multiple layers, hence the purposes, like I said earlier, it's laminating resin. It's meant to do layers, so 3 to 4 layers. Parchment paper is your friend. Lay parchment paper down, wet out your cloth like when you're doing like a little one, and then I just took that whole thing up with me, and then I rotated it and got it on and got it sticking on, left it there, kind of used my, Tom Miller lent me a 3/4 inch roller, I can't remember what they're called, but they're meant for getting bubbles out of doing fiberglass. So I just lightly did that until it gets on, and then I peeled that peel ply out, and then I started working out the air. Many ways to do this, but that's how I did it. Work out the bubbles. If not, you're going to be doing a lot of grinding and filling with your chop mat and or marine filler. Take your time. Have all your pieces cut out. Plan ahead. Like, okay, I know that my first stuff I want to do, I want to fill in that hole first, right? So I'm going to like small, bigger. Have them all in a line. Put your paper on now. How did I do that? Did I go backwards? Yeah, I would have. Yeah. So on the laminating paper would have been my biggest to smallest. Because when I picked that up and I put it in the hole, I got the small going in there, which worked. Number your pieces or put them in a row, but be careful. It's windy out there and it's light and it'll lift off the table. Yep, and then when you get that done, have a beer and a cigar and admire your day's accomplishment. So, is this presentation going to be put online? Okay, good. So, when this presentation goes online, here's 2 good links to go and read about gel coat over epoxy, and they do talk and applying polyester gel coat over epoxy, okay? I put that in there for a reason because I mentioned earlier that statement, and I always get confused, and I think the statement is correct, but however, you can do it. And I have, there's a link, Boatworks Today. Anybody have ever watched Boatworks Today? About 10 years ago, he went and did a demonstration where he had polyester resin fiberglass stick on this side, and then he had an epoxy resin fiberglass stick on this side, put gel coat on it, stuck them together, and then did a pull test. Guess which one held up the best? Epoxy. I was surprised too, but it was epoxy. So, can you put gel coat over epoxy? Just on wet epoxy. Thank you. On West epoxy, because that is what he used it. So West epoxy, yes, I would use it, but you got to remember you need that cure time. You need at least 5 to 6 days cure time before you even think about putting gel coat over it. But there's ways around it. All right, so fairing. So let the fairing begin. All right, materials that are used. So 80 grit sandpaper, sanding, a straight sanding board sander, palm sander, vibrating, and a vibrating board. You guys are going to kick out of this one. This is the one I was trying to use, but it wouldn't work very well. So I had to borrow Dan's. because Dan bought one. How long ago you bought one, Dan, for your boat? It's a red one. Anyway, you'll see a picture of it up there. But this is my buddy's. It didn't work too well. This is driven by air. So I brought down my huge compressor out of my garage that I use for changing my tires, tied it, locked it up to my boat, and it stayed there for 6 weeks. And I'm not kidding, 6 weeks. It took me 6 weeks to sand. This is the sticky tape that I used that went on that. This is the 80 grit that was on my palm sander. If you can, there's like a felt, so it was like on and off, holes for the thing. Had a vacuum cleaner on it, also had it tarped at some point. Basically, on the bottom when I was doing it, put a tarp down to catch all the dust because it was like in April, May, June. Yeah, I think end of May, 1st of June is when I was doing it. And yeah, that's all I'm looking for, my brain. All right, I didn't bring my cutting boards, but I had 3 of them. Actually, I think I had 5 at one point. So these are like it looks like you know what a painter's board is, where you put your thumb in? So it's like kind of like a long cutting, just a thin cutting board. You go to the dollar store, you get it. It has like has a rough side with a thing on it and a shiny, smooth side. I use the smooth side. So that's what I mixed my resin, or not my resin, the filler, this filler here, right? So chunked it out with a stick, put it on there, took my spreader, put my catalyst in it, started mixing it, right to the boat, started slapping it on. This is the first side that I did. What's wrong with that? Can anybody tell me what's wrong with this? On this stuff? Like, look at this picture here. First time I've ever did it. But I had to do it, and I'll tell you why. Because if you look really closely here, these little dark spots, those are pin marks, and that was from the soda blasting. I applied that too thick. What happens when you apply something thick and you got to fair it? You got to sand it. You have to sand it. Anyway, plastic spreading applicators. Oh, acetone. Every time I was done sanding, I would wash the boat. Then next day I'll come back, I'll water the boat down, let it dry for like a half hour, and then take acetone. Acetone will actually evaporate water, so if there's water there, don't worry about it. Use your acetone. Get all that sand and all that dirt, because you want to have a clean working surface. Okay, this is the other side, and you can see it's a little better, right? And this is because I'm fairing it out. Pencil marks. I just took a lead pencil. I just marked it all up. Because as I'm sanding with my fairing board up and down around on the hull, because I used this guy, right? On the hull like here, and I went up and down, right? Kept working all the way down, and then I had to sit down above a hand over my head, and I was doing this, and I was like, I looked like a ghost at the end of the day, but it was fine. This is the one that was actually working, and that's Dan Gabot has that. He lent me that. This boat behind me, he was also doing his boat. He actually sanded his by hand, and he had a couple of through hulls that he was fixing, and he had a pretty good way of doing it. And he made backing plates out of fiberglass, and he used epoxy on that. All right, next up. Okay, so here it's faired, need to be sanded, faired, sanded a little bit. I had to add more here. Part of my tarp that I was using. Right, so now that's all done. Okay, what I learned about fairing and sanding. Very, very time consuming. Small batches. This kicks off really, really quick. If you're not doing it, it'll get hard. And once it gets hard, and it gets like, you ever get a pebble and something and you bring it across, and then it kind of like ruins the work that you did. Because Heat was a factor. It was getting warmer by the time I started doing this. Oh, at some point, sometimes it was cold. Sanding the fairing compound, thickness versus thin application, it does matter. Don't put it on thick. Just put it on as much as what you need. If you just need to fill those little pinholes, put it in there, just cross, down, over, X, and just fill it and just keep going and keep going and keep going. I just kind of like smeared it on like butter. And then as I'm sanding, I'm like, and the good thing is, I laid up this side and started sanding, and then went, oh, this sucks. But I didn't do the other side yet. So I did that other side a little thinner, and it went good. But I actually hired a guy. So, getting into a rhythm, sitting on their arms with arms overhead is tiring. Had to clean my glasses a lot. I had like these glasses on and another big glasses, and it was fogging up. And so wear a small particle dust mask. This is what I was wearing, the 3M. The little filters in here. So yeah, right. Can use these 3M N94, N95 masks. That's fine. Tyvek suit. I used the Tyvek suit more for doing the fiberglassing when I was grinding the fiberglass. This year I just used my t-shirt and had the fine dust from the fairing compound over me. Oh yeah, hire a young or younger person to assist in the sanding. I worked a full-time job and was at the yard from 3:30 p.m. till dark every night for 3 weeks to do the sanding. And then Jacob did about 14 hours for me during the day. This got me back on track. Thanks, Jacob. And my buddy Steve, Coach A, who's in the back, he did about another 10 or 12 hours with me, and we both tackled it. And I really appreciate that help, because that was a big job. And you're going to see why here in a bit. Next. So now comes the waterproofing. So, difference between epoxy and polyester resin or vinyl ester resin. Epoxy is a better waterproofer than what that is, and than what this is. So, I had to use Interprotect 2000. I have 4 gallons on here, but I think I might have used a little bit more, maybe 5. So I did 3 coats of gray and 2 coats of white. A lint-free roller, and even though it says a lint-free roller, it's not. I'll give you like a little tip that was given to me. So if this is your roller, this is your tape, start at one end, wrap it all the way around, and then take it off. That'll get any of the lint, any old, like any stuff. Do that twice, and you'll be fine. You'll still get a little bit of lint in there. Just take your finger, wipe your pants, roll it over it again, you're good to go. So painter's tape was used through various stages. My cordless drill, paint mixer thingy. So I didn't bring my cordless drill, but I brought the paint. So one of these, you will need one of these. Because when I opened up the can, the gray, I had a stir stick and I was stirring it. At the bottom of it, it was a hard, lumpy thing. So everything, the chemicals and the compounds, they just separated. The oils from the solids separated. You had to really mix that up. So my neighbor who was doing his haul, he had an old coat hanger. We'll do that. So he got a coat hanger. So we did that, and that worked for that day. And I went, screw that. So the next time I come back, I brought my other thing. The one I used, I can't find it, but it actually looks pretty cool because it has about this thick of epoxy or the Interprotect 2000 on it. So that's never going to get water. That's never going to leak or ruin or go thing. So anyway, yeah, and you just put that in there. You do the whole, and I did the whole. I used the whole. No, I used that first in the can, mixed everything up good. Then I poured some of that out, how much I figured I needed. There is a website out there that gives you a formula of how much you should do per square foot, square inches, whatever it was. Yeah. So there is math involved as well. And I think the math involved, actually, if you go on to the Interprotect 2000 website, I think that's where I got it, it'll tell you through a formula, the length and the width of your bolt multiplied by a certain number is how much you should actually get. And that's how I figured out how many gallons. And it was bang on. I had a half a gallon left over when I was done, and I just gave it to another guy who was doing the job. Mixing and measuring cups, rags, rubber gloves, acetone again. Acetone was in every job you do, use acetone. Bristle brush, I use the same bristle brush I use for fiberglassing. The top of the, like getting into the small areas, I just use that, dip that in there. Okay, all materials, all these materials, mostly that I got here, were bought at the Chandlerly. Hint, buy them during the fall or the spring sales, because you either get 20, 30, 40, or 50%. I think I got this all for 50%. I saved $1,000. This project, and I think I'm being generous. I think it costs a little bit more than that, but it was about $2,800. And that's not just a material. So 800 of that would have been the transportation down and back from Hanco. 2,000 to 2,500 was all the material that I did. Okay. So Interprotect 2000, this is what it looks like. It's actually, when it goes on, you're like, I'm done, let's go. It took me 5 days to do that. See here, this is where the repair was, the crack. So it looks all pretty good. My rudder, I actually had to put a lot of fairing compound on that to do that. My rudder wasn't wet, so there was no water leakage, so that was good. You can see here, I don't have anything under there. Does anybody know how many coats I have on at this point? No, there's only one. There's only one, and I'm going to show you how you can tell. All right, so see right here? Actually, so these are more. See right here, see the squares, how they're there? So this one I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have a gray, I have a white. Wait, 1, 2, this is 3. Something like that, anyway. So you leave yourself about an inch around as you as you go, and then you can figure out how many layers that you have. And I alternated between white and gray. Maybe the next one's going to show it better. Yeah, here we go. There, look. See how there? So that's my fifth one, right there.
Why did you alternate?
Coverage. Coverage, so I can see what I'm doing. So if I used all white and I stopped and I went away and I came back, I'm like, where did I stop? That's the only reason. That's the only technical reason I can give you. That was Gene Bruce that told me that. Right? So, like I said, people in the yard, briefs like this, little tips and stuff that'll get you through it. Doing the pad, right? Took the pad off. Still had some. Actually, this was already all done. This here is the anti-fouling plus Interprotect 2000. So I just went down, sanded it down to the gel coat, applied my any filler that I need to do, and just checked it to make sure everything it was sound, and then did that, and then I started putting the Interprotect 2000 on. Anti-fouling, and look at that. This is the end. That was the end. That was just to clean up. That's it. I was so happy. Time for a beer and a cigar on the water, right? Here it is there. It's our other buddy Jay helped me launch it. That's not Jay Moore, that's my buddy Jay Toll. He owns a CNC 29 here on ADOC called Valkyrie. Yes, I was working with my rubber boots on. I was grinding with water under my feet. I had a cart and I had everything, make sure everything was up off the ground. I was insulated to the water. Yeah, I would have got shocked. And then this is, I think I'm doing, what's in the bucket? Anyway, I was doing something. I was pretty much fiberglassing there. So I started in late April, and I launched June 28th. I think I finished the 27th, 26th, 27th, and I launched. And I needed the boat in the water because my grandkids were coming up from Halifax, and they were arriving on the next day. Something, I think the 29th or 30th, they were coming here. And I wanted the boat in the water so that they can go and enjoy that. Which it pretty much rained the whole time we were there, but it was fine. So I just got some structural repair theory. There's all kinds of stuff out there. I have a few links on there that you can do. This information came from this link right here. So once you're on there, you can just click on that. It'll bring you right here and it'll explain more. So all repairs are secondary bonds, because remember, like when boat's made, that's your primary bond. That's your boat. Then you had to grind it out. Now you're doing a secondary bond to do the repair, and that's all they're talking about there. So you want to rely on the adhesive that you're using of the resin for their strength, and quality of the resin strength, and the cloth that you're using as well. Increasing the surface area will strengthen and the durability of the repair. I had a hole this big, but I was like this big, but also I had a crack. Oh, by the way, the cracks after I grounded the cracks out, they only went in so far. There was only that one on the port side that went all the way in. Oh, a funny story. I really want to tell you this. So, has anybody know what this is? Right. This is epoxy putty. Take this off, put it in your fingers, and you activate the green. I think it's yellow on the inside, or it's white, green and white maybe. And you do that, and then you can do like a quick fix on something that's leaking and on there, and it's rock solid hard. I used probably 10 of those because when I noticed that my bilge was leaking, and I always cleaned it out and I wiped it out and said, where's this water come from? And I could see it coming from there, and it will just start trickling it. I'm like, so I'm down on a whole thing. I'm looking under the floorboards. I got my flashlight there, and I can see literally water coming through the fiberglass on the inside. So I talked to James, and James says, oh, come and use this here. I could see. So there's a couple of like things broken away. So I'm like, plug those up. The more I plugged and the higher I got, the water just kept coming up higher. So I'm like, all right, that's not going to work. I know it is. So I said, okay, there's something structurally wrong underneath. It's not that fluid. I had friends pumping out my boat. I had put in an automatic bilge pump. And when I come down, I told everybody, okay, don't pump it no more. I got the bilge pump in there, we're good. And I had always had this much water in the bottom. Didn't matter how many times I cleaned it out, this much to the top of where the bilge pump couldn't get it out. So, I'm going to go back a couple here, just sorry about that, because it's an interesting story. Where's the... So here. So as I'm using the finger grinder and I'm going hard in here, and Tom's come down to see how I'm doing. It's actually Tom Miller's finger grinder I had, and I actually purchased one case, why not? It's a toy, right? So I'm going hard at it, and Tom's here, and I'm grinding, I'm like, what is that white stuff right there? Like what? And I'm poking it, and I'm like, and Tom looks at it, and he goes, I don't know. So hold on a second. So he goes up into the boat, and he takes the bilge pipes, and he moves to the side, and he looks at it, and he goes, yeah, he looks like someone did a repair up here. And I went, hold on, and I pushed my finger, and I went, yeah, that's the epoxy putty that I put on from the inside. So it took me a minute to figure out what it was. Anyway, so that was my little story about that little guy. Okay, so back to him. Hello. Flood. Right. So you want to increase the surface area is what I did. I increased it. Then you want to strive to duplicate the thickness, the density, and the ply orientation of the lamination to maintain functionality of the part. Guess what? There's formulas for that. I'm not going to go through this, and I never did it. I just used 1708, and I went, okay, it looks good. I got a little high side, so I grinded that back, put some filler on it, sanded that, slapped on the thing, good to go. So this is what you should do, but I didn't do it. Structural repair. So earlier we were talking, who was I talking to? There he's back there, about structural repair. No, we talked about cosmetic repair. Oh, a little bit about structural. So you want to inspect the damage, identify the materials that are involved, like is it wood, is it fiberglass, is it steel, whatever, and determine whether the part should be replaced or repaired. So remove the damaged material, either by grinding or just taking the bolts off and removing it, and then prep for the bonding. Then you want to laminate the repair patch if required, and then inspect it before you put it back. So that's kind of the process. All these have paragraphs describing what this means in that document. So if you want to do that, go ahead and read it. I'm not really going to explain that. Cosmetic repair. So cosmetic repair, gel coat, right? I think I brought some gel coat, I believe. Come on. Yeah, so it's probably expired, right? That's I think that was 2021 I bought that and used it for a little bit on One Love. I had some cosmetic repair I had to do. So you want to inspect the damage and lose and grind out all your loose and unsupported surface material. Dealing with spider cracks. You want to get yourself a Dremel tool. Does it get louder when I stand right here? Oh, it does to me. It's probably because it's the speaker. Okay, little Dremel tool, right? I don't have one of the attachments, but you put an attachment on there like a little oval grinder. So when you're doing that, if this is your spider crack and you want to come down and just lightly, probably go in about this much, you might have to go a little further. Juke, down you go. Take some epoxy, thicken it with silica, put it on, but before you put it on, I would recommend that you go and put 2 layers, maybe 3, maybe 4 if you want, depends on what you want. And the reason for that is, if this is your deck and this is your tape, and you have your tape around over your area where you want to repair with the thickened gel coat, right? And you can use thickened gel coat for that purpose. You don't want to use it gel coat for something that's like an inch and a half or 1/4 of an inch. I think 1/4 of an inch would be good, but I wouldn't go any longer than that. Because anything at 1/4 of an inch, then you're getting into fiberglass, so you might want to use a little bit of chop mat, put that in there wet it down with either epoxy or resin. Remember that if you use epoxy, 5 days curing time before you even put gel coat on it. Very important. So gel coat's put on, tape is there. Take the tape off. What happens is that you build up your gel coat, the height of what your tape buildup was, and then you start sanding that back. And then as you get down further, use like a little, you might want to use a guard or something, or keep the tape there as well. Once the tape starts coming off, peel it off. And then basically what that'll do, if you start sanding, if you didn't do that and you started sanding, well, what are you sanding? You're sanding the old gel coat and the new gel coat, and you're bringing that down. Now you got like a divot like this. So you build up your repair up a bit and sand that down there. And if you color masked it correctly, you would have no problem blending that in. I really suck at blending stuff in, and I have a big repair on Wanderer. I backed into another boat by mistake. Actually, it wasn't a mistake. Put it in no, it was actually a failure of the gear shifter. The gear shifter actually came off in my hand when the boat was going backwards. But luckily, I was in neutral when it did it, and I ran into white spray and took out a big chunk of him, and took a big chunk out of mine as well. So, and how I'm going to do that? Gel coat and thicken it. And it's probably this bit. I might put a little bit of chop strand in it, but I'm going to use my finger grinder, right? Feather it back. Might use my Dremel tool, don't know. We'll see, I'll have to do it. So basically, you know, it's like prepare your surface. So I'm going to prepare it that way. Where's my sticky at? All right, I lost the pointer thing. That's okay, I can just hit it there. And then polish the repair area to the desired luster that you want. Before you start, go and get yourself some, what's it called? It's not wax or it's not polish, what's the other stuff? It takes everything off, like if you had, thank you, compound, rubbing compound. Take that, go around your affected area that you're gonna repair, and then take that wax off somehow. Because you're gonna color match. What you wanna do is you wanna bring that up first. You don't wanna do it something that's weathered, because you're not gonna get the right color match. You wanna bring that up. Because that'll actually fade over time, but that's what you want. You want something fresh to work with. And then when you're done your repair, you can use compound again, and that'll get all your swirl marks out, your sanding marks. And then when you sand, you're gonna be sanding using wet sandpaper. What's that called? Wet, huh? Well, actually, so just take a bottle, spray it on your sandpaper. Wet sanding it's called, I guess. Yeah, wet sanding, sorry. You want to do that and then go down. There's websites out there. I think I got some links at the end of this presentation that you can go to that'll show you how to do that. And then after you're done that, polish it up. And if you color match it correctly, you would never know that you did a repair to it. Go ahead, sir. Do you want to use the mic there?
No, it's fine. So
Oh, no, that's okay. If he doesn't want to use it, I'll repeat the question so that people around can hear it.
So on my boat, about half the boat, the gel coat came out. It's sort of nice and shiny, and then it's buff, right?
Yeah.
Now, that gel coat looks like a millimeter, maybe a half a millimeter thick, right? It's just a shiny compound, right?
Yeah. The compound to
Shiny-
polish it?
Shiny epoxy gel coat. Shiny
Okay.
gel coat, right? So basically, when you put that on, if you use a brush, it'll have brush strokes, right?
Yep.
So how do you get it perfectly nice and smooth?
Spray it on. You can spray it on. I use a paintbrush. I won't use one of these. That's too coarse. That's way too coarse. But I would use maybe those foam ones. But get a whole bunch of them because eventually that chemicals that's in the gel coat will like disintegrate it, just like the Solo cup, right? So, and then just like I would brush it on with something with a big brush like that and then come in behind it and then smooth it out. Because now, don't forget, if you layered it up with that tape and then you're gonna sand it down, it's gonna take you a while. You might wanna knock it down with 100 grit and then switch to your 300 and then switch to 1,000, 600, 6, 8, and 1,000 grit to get it nice and smooth.
That'll take a year.
Yeah. How important is it? How important is it to you to do it?
No, it's perfectly easy.
Yeah.
Now, what sprayer do you use for such a thick thing? What sprayer do you use?
You can use an airless sprayer. You can use a sprayer from a compressor, but you would really have to thin out your gel coat with styrene, I think it's called. I'm not an expert on this, so I would love to answer all your questions on gel coat, but I really can't because I've read up more on this to prepare for tonight than gel coat. I knew the gel coat answers were going to come, but styrene, thin it out, and then apply it on. And that's basically what you do. And probably when you're done one side, you come over and you do another side. By the time that's done, you just come right back over and you do the other side and keep going. Loading up your gun until it clogs up, and once it clogs up, you have to like stop what you're doing and clean your tip and stuff like that. Any other questions on that? So next one. All right, so that's these are some of the resources that I like to go. Boatworks Today. This guy has a YouTube. I put his playlist here. Also, Fish Bump TV. This guy is really, really, really good. He knows his stuff. Websites, Selling Repair Needs, Chandlerly, thank you very much. Rayplex, fiberglass and composite store. Oh, where's my, I really want that pointing, oh, here, I found it. This guy here, he says in one of these things, so on his site you can go and you can get a download, pay $30 Canadian, and I have possession of it. Everything about fiberglassing. He says do not buy resins from box stores. These have a shelf life of 1 year. This is no good, and that's no good. Why do I still have it? Because I just read it a couple days ago that these are no good. So, West System epoxy will last forever. You can have, I have cans at home that are rusty that I'm going to use for this other project because these were new last year. One other thing about this. How many people have used this system? How many people has bought these little handy jugs, right? First time I did it, no one showed me. I go back to the Chandlerly because it comes in a 3-pack. There's like a big one, a medium one, and a small one. I go back to the Chandlerly and I'm going like, yeah, I bought this small can, but it's too big for the can. The guy looks at me and goes, seriously? I go, yeah. I said, do you have something that'll fit that? He says, just cut it. Right? So that's my tip to you so you don't embarrass yourself at the Chandlerly. You have to cut them down, and you cut them down like on a slight angle. As a matter of fact, there was actually directions that were there. I pulled a Tim Allen, if anybody knows that show. I didn't read the directions because he told me I don't have to read the directions. All right, Rayplex Fiberglass and Composite Store is down towards Toronto. I think it's in Oshawa. Great place. A great place for resources. In there they have a learning center that's all free that you can go to check up that. I'm only putting this one on and these three here because I find that these three are there, but there's tons and tons and tons of websites. If you actually go to the West Marine site, they have a learning thing. There's a whole bunch of how to do stuff. Rayplex, if you have to do tinting, they have a tinting kit. They have all your, they have resins, they have epoxies, they have gel coat, they have their own Rayplex gel coat. Scott Haley says he uses them a lot. He said they're pretty good. So, anyway, Scott, Tom, Gene, Jim Love, Steve Cloutier, Jacob Livingston, anybody else who I missed who came and helped and gave me some information, thank you very much. And so get out there and fix it. Don't be scared to do it, because what's the worst thing that's going to happen? If you look at it and you do it wrong, well, you're just going to grind it, take it off, and do it again. So don't be scared of that. Yeah. All right. What's our time here? How much time do I got left?
As much as you want.
Okay. All right. So for questions for this period, because we have, it's on a YouTube thing, Mark's going to go around with the mic if anybody has any questions, or you can just stand up here at this mic here.
Scott's done a great job of explaining all kinds of stuff, and we might have all kinds of questions. So, here have we got the first question? Oh, we have the first question. Anybody got a question
no
for
question?
Scott?
Oh, you know what? This is the time where you tease the person walking out of the room when you're at the comedy show. Where are you going?
I think we have our first question. We picked the biggest mic.
I think there's.
I noticed you put the anti-fouling on just before it all changed.
Yep.
What how are you,
Nothing.
oh, you're just gonna let it all,
Don't care.
oh, okay.
And the reason why I say I don't care is that I don't race that boat anymore because I sold it. I own Wanderer. Anybody know the boat Wanderer? It's a Catalina 320. So my wife and I, we bought that last summer. It has VC17 on it. And like, you know, the VC17 is gone. There is replacements out there, but they're really expensive. Am I gonna do that, worry about it? I'm just cruising that boat. Like, I really don't care. And when I bring it out of the boat, out of the water, there's really not that much growth on it. Only on one side where the sun doesn't hit, pretty much, so. Yeah. But they're supposed to be coming out with something that's compatible, that's like, there's VC offshore, but that's like 300 a gallon, something like that. It's really expensive. Maybe more now that the tariffs are in there. I don't know. That's scary. Huh? Oh, I hope so. Any other questions?
We have no more questions.
You mean I
wanna-
covered everything?
Oh my
shit.
gosh. They might assault you on the way out with their own questions.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, and feel free to come up. I'll stick up here a little while ago. I just want to say one thing. Don't touch this. This is why you have it in a tray and in a bag. Because I got some on my hand, I was rubbing my eyes, and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? This is sticky. This is all sticky, goopy stuff. It won't cure until I put this in. And these are really easy to do, right? One pump, mix for a minute, and then it'll kick off, and then you can go.
Well, Scott, I want to thank you. I think
Oh,
everybody
I see-
here. Oh, sorry, we had a question.
So how did you color match the gel coat? Like, it's already on the boat.
Sorry, I can't hear you, even when you're...
How do you?
How do you color match the gel coat?
Hold on a second.
Like, you have it already on the boat, and then you're trying to match it with something you're buying somewhere.
Trying to go back. YouTube, Boatworks Today, has a very good explanation on how to do that. In general, what you do is you have like, you have a black, yellow, maybe red or whatever, something like that, and then you take it and you put on a tongue depressor, and then you take something else, and then you have your gel coat. If I was going to do gel coat, I wouldn't worry about how much I have. I know I'm going to use it throughout the thing because it lasts a shelf life for a year, so I'm going to buy stuff. I'm going to tint it to my boat right away. You would take it with your mixing stick, take a little bit of that, start mixing it. Or take something and drop a drop at a time, start mixing it. And then take some of the yellow, start mixing it. And then get yourself a board, and then kind of like just smear it on, and then let it dry. And then hold that up to, like, you know, hold that up to your hull and see how close that is. And then just keep doing that process over until you get it. Don't mix Scott Haley went over this with me earlier today. Oh, Jesus, break. And he said, if you mix it a little bit up, how much do you know how much you? You're going to use that just for your boat anyway. So color match it to your boat. Use the whole thing. This whole thing. Color match that whole thing. I can't remember the guy's name. Everybody remember his name? Is it Mike, John, Tim? The Boatworks Today? Andy Miller, thank you. Andy Miller. There is one that I just watched, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and I don't know how long ago, I just came across it. It's about gel coat color matching, how to do it. And he explains it so well that I really understood it, and I kind of blurted it out to you how he did it. And it was a pretty cool process, and that's not what I did for the other one. I just went, I'll take a little bit of yellow, Yeah, so any other questions?
I wanted to comment on the color coding with gel coat. I've had quite a bit of experience with that.
Okay.
A couple things, you don't have to do a large area. You want to do it in a relatively small area, only color matching a small area, because the boat color actually changes from the different weathering experience. So the first time I did it, I mixed a big batch, thought it was great. It was great for the foot square foot area that I may have been on, but when I later on went on to try different areas, it was slightly off, and I could still see those repairs, and it annoys me, even though it's only a fraction off. So you work in small areas with a small amount. The color matching is very easy. You do the drops as explained by Andy on Boatworks today, which is where I learned. And I also watched several other videos on it, but Boatworks today was the best by far. You can actually apply the color right onto the gel coat on your boat, because until you put the hardener in, you can just wipe it off with acetone once you've got the right color. You're going to wipe off all the wrong colors, and you can get an exact match.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was wondering that thing too.
Then you
Yeah.
put the hardener in, and then you're going to have to sand it off if you've made a mistake. So
I like
thank you.
that.
It's been a good presentation.
Thank you for that input. That was a really good thing. Like I said, you know, my first slide. I'm not a professional. Sorry, what's your name, sir? Dana? Yeah, Dana. As Dana, thank you, Dana. As Dana said, like he had a version of it. Yeah, like I kind of did that when I was doing One Love. I was putting the marks on, but I didn't put a thing. But it's still there. But it cured. Like it cured. Like it dried like paint, because all the chemicals and just over time evaporated, and then you can still see. I didn't take it out, but now I know. So that's good. Any other questions?
I think you've placated them all. This is awesome. Scott, thank you very much
Thank
for
you
what
for
you've
having
done. I think you've done one of three things. You've either scared our audience off never to do this stuff, or given us enough confidence that they'll do it themselves.
So ask me if I'll redo a hall again.
Yeah, or come and talk to you about redoing all.
That answer is no. Oh, one more point about that. One thing that I did learn. I said they used soda blasting, so when it was done, I got the boat back, and I went to go open my hatch. I heard all that stuff soda blasting. It was out in the air. It all came up on top of the boat. I was rinsing that boat for weeks trying to get that off. So I think next time I'm going to do is stuff rags or something, or cover it before you do it. It was a mess. The boat came back dirty. Yeah, it was a mess.
Thank you very much. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you.
A small token of our appreciation for you.
Thank you.
Card. Some we don't have much money, as you know, but all of our speakers get a very unique set of coasters, which I hope they have with pride. You can't get them unless you're a speaker here with the P&S Sailing Club. And I'm sure Scott will use these over time. Eventually, they might end up in the china cabinet, and maybe many years later, he'll pull them out and go, "Oh yeah." And I'll guarantee you that people in this audience, Scott, will have remembered your speech, and they'll be below your boat, and they'll go, "Oh yeah, that's what I was supposed to."
Yeah, they're going on the boat.
Anyway, thank you, everybody. Maybe we'll see you next week. You had fun with that? That was a lot of prep you did, eh?
Yeah, it was a lot of work, and that's why I just went